Hey everybody, I thought I would record a little bit of audio to help you along with this video. It's about 13 minutes long, but bright and early in the morning, August 24th, we were looking out the window of a little yellow house next door and watching this digger go to work. The house lift had happened on the Friday, so we had the weekend to clean up around the house a little bit. But I was thinking that this was going to be maybe a little more interesting than the house lift. An extremely delicate operation of reaching a very big, powerful shovel underneath a house which is up on stilts, picking up pieces of concrete. And we were watching that concrete get broken up by a jackhammer. A jackhammer takes a long time. This is the main reason why we were set on lifting the house. We talked about a lot of different options, like shoring up bits of the foundation to work on pieces at a time. But now that it's on stilts, we can get a machine like this in and do in a day or two. It would have taken, if it had just been us, it would have been years. So, I mean, that piece of concrete would have taken separating the dirt, putting the dirt aside, and he's putting the concrete over on the other side, and the concrete is taken away. You have to, that's a piece of sewer pipe, and that's actually the connection between the two houses. There was one sewer line crossing the property from the little yellow house, and then connecting up with that piece of pipe to the big house, and then it would go out to the street that you can see from this angle. It's pretty amazing watching these guys work. They have to look above them, and they could very easily knock my house down. But they didn't, which I'm grateful for. That particular piece of wall took an hour to get through with a jackhammer, because the cribbing, the Jenga pile there that was the cribbing, had to we needed to remove a piece of concrete wall there. So they took a jackhammer to it for about an hour, and it was tough. There's an old water pipe that would have been cast iron pipe or a steel pipe. It's all rusted in the middle now. And look how close he gets to the house on the top. And he has to manipulate these pieces of concrete that are going to break in random ways, and would be quite easy for them to break off and fall against the cribbing. There's our pile of concrete. I was grateful to have some very experienced excavators come in, and they knew what they were doing. And the guy in the shot there was talking about concrete, and how probably in 1923, when Carl Whitehead built this house for his family, they didn't have the technique of pouring concrete into forms, and this is a poured concrete foundation. So he was saying that probably just like the little yellow house next to it, it was originally built on pier blocks and posts, and there was a crawl space underneath the house. And when the technique was developed to pour concrete into a foundation like it is, they probably did that. They would have had to support the house around it while they poured it. I don't know how they did that. But they didn't have machines like this, did they? This is a great little angle. You can see the iPad taking the time-lapse photos every 20 seconds next to it. But these guys know exactly the limitations of the machine, and they know exactly how it's going to behave sitting on top of a pile of dirt. Watching this little ballet here. And if you think that's a big pile of dirt, wait till you see how big the pile gets later. That white pipe is a modern PVC water pipe. Making a little ramp for himself to get around. It's just pretty surreal for me to see my house up on blocks like that and then see this monster of a truck, a machine tootling around it like a toy. This angle you can really get a good sense of the foundation wall, which in our drawings our architect assumed that it went down in a straight line below the slab of the concrete floor, but you can see there it didn't. It went right to the level of the concrete floor of the basement and stopped. And there's, right there you can see that there's about 2 or 3 inches of concrete that formed the floor, and so it was basically a box. And these days, when they put a footing in, they put a kind of a T so that it's a much more stable base. One of the nice things that we're getting out of this work that we're doing to make our house last forever is much better earthquake proofing. In British Columbia down here, we're expecting the big one at some point. We're going to get a big earthquake. We keep seeing them around the world, and it's nice to know that we're going to be in much better shape with our house after this. House has been shaked by trains, which the train tracks are about 2 blocks away. They go across Canada and they shake the house. Leanne's mom grew up in this house, and she says it was like being rocked to sleep every night in her bedroom upstairs. They have to take out fences. Yeah. Yeah, you can take that off. All right, thanks. If you get in touch with Chuck if you can, thank you. Yeah, okay. What is that?
Cute little pusher. Yeah. Better than television.
Tougher than it looks.
You'd think my kids would really love seeing this and watching. Most of the time they were really blasé about the whole thing. Took them over after their swimming lessons to watch. And they watched for a little while. But then they wanted to go. So here it is. This is the whole reason why putting it up on stilts and paying the $10,000 for Nickel Brothers to lift the house up is worth it. We're going to dig down as deep as we can go. We're limited by the storm drain connection. The perimeter drain that's going to go in around the house has got to be able to flow nicely into the existing storm drain on the street. So we can't go too deep. And we also need to have an 8-foot ceiling. That's the building code in the basement. So those kind of limitations. But we can dig quite a bit deeper. We can add insulation underneath the slab. We're going to add 3 inches of a rigid foam called Terrafoam. And we can have a really good earthquake proofing. And we can insulate the stink out of the exterior walls. We don't have too much room underneath the slab to put a whole passive house 6 inches or 9 inches of foam, but on the outside walls we can maybe put an inch of foam on the outside of the walls, and then on the inside we can 6 or 9 or even 12 inches of insulation if we want to go crazy. And we want to make this house as efficient as we can get. A lot of this planning process was conversations that kind of went, well, if we're doing that, we might as well do this. And then if we're doing that, well, we might as well take one more step further. But this, the digger underneath can work a lot faster than anybody by hand. This was a dicey moment because I saw this big piece of concrete almost leaning against the cribbing. Always makes me nervous. This is about the end of the video though. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned.